The space station floated silently in the vast darkness, a small island of light and life in the empty stretch between two star systems. Its metal walls gleamed faintly under the soft white lights, and the distant hum of engines and ventilation systems filled the air. People moved about in orderly paths, carrying cargo, messages, or simply walking to their assigned areas. Among them was Ethan, a human explorer who had spent months traveling through unknown sectors of space. Ethan walked slowly down a quiet corridor, his boots clicking softly on the metal floor. He felt the weight of exhaustion pressing on him. The mission had been long, full of unexpected dangers, strange worlds, and alien life forms. Despite the excitement of discovery, he longed for rest. Finding a small lounge tucked away in a corner of the station, he sank into a chair, closing his eyes for a moment. The quiet of the lounge was almost comforting, until a soft sound broke the stillness. It was the sound of footsteps, gentle and deliberate. Ethan opened his eyes and saw her. She moved with a grace he had never seen before. Her skin glimmered faintly in the light, with a soft shade that reminded him of the sunset on Earth. Her eyes were large and bright, with colors he could not name. There was an air of both elegance and fragility around her. She stopped a few feet away, looking at him carefully. Ethan noticed the way she shifted her weight almost nervously, and the small quiver in her hands. She did not speak at first. She just stood there observing. Ethan straightened in his chair and gave her a small, welcoming smile. "Hello," he said softly. "I haven't seen you around here before. Are you new to the station?" The alien woman tilted her head slightly. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was soft and musical. "I am new. I am Liara. I was told humans are different. Brave kind. I wanted to see for myself." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" he asked. Liara hesitated. Her eyes flicked to the floor for a moment, then back to him. "Different. In the way you feel, the way you care for others. I am not used to seeing it. My people, we hide our weakness. We hide our fears. But you humans, you face them. I wanted to know if it is true." Ethan felt a warm curiosity growing in him. Humans had faced countless challenges, but not many had made him feel so personally connected in a first meeting. "You are welcome to see for yourself," he said. "But it is not always easy. Humans are brave, yes, but we also feel fear, loneliness, and doubt. That is part of being human." Liara's eyes widened slightly. Even when alone? Even when afraid?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, that is what makes us strong. We face what scares us, and we try to help others even if it is hard." There was a long pause. Liara seemed to be gathering courage. She stepped closer, her movements careful and hesitant. Ethan noticed her hands were slightly trembling. I feel alone," she admitted, almost in a whisper. "I am far from my home, my people. We are strong, but I feel small." Ethan leaned forward slightly, giving her his full attention. "It is okay to feel small," he said gently. "It does not make you weak. Feeling fear or loneliness is part of life for every being. The important part is finding someone you can trust, someone who will listen." Liara looked at him with wide, almost hopeful eyes. She took another step closer, standing just a few feet away now. Her voice dropped even lower. I want to be near you, just for a little time, to feel safe. Can I stay near you tonight?" Ethan blinked. The question surprised him. He had never had an alien speak to him with such openness and trust. He realized that her request was not just about physical closeness, it was about emotional reassurance. She was putting her trust in him, something rare for her species. He took a moment, considering the right words. "You can," he said finally. "You don't have to be afraid. I will not let anything harm you, and it is okay to need someone even for a short while." Liara's shoulders relaxed slightly. A small, almost shy smile appeared on her face. She moved closer, sitting down a few feet away, still keeping a respectful distance. Ethan did not speak immediately. He simply watched her, understanding that sometimes words were not needed. For a long moment they sat in silence. The hum of the station around them, the distant footsteps of other travelers, and the faint vibration from the engines filled the room. But in that quiet corner, it felt as though the world had shrunk to just the two of them. Liara glanced at Ethan again. Your presence? It is calming. Humans, you are strange. You are strong yet gentle. I did not expect this." Ethan smiled softly. That is what humans try to be. We learn from each other, we protect each other, it is our way of being. Liara nodded slowly, her gaze thoughtful. I want to understand it. To feel it. For myself, that is why I asked. Ethan noticed her trembling had almost stopped. He realized that trust was slowly forming between them. It was delicate, fragile, but real. Even a single night in a strange place could mean something important for someone who had spent so long feeling alone. I will stay here, Ethan said finally, until you feel ready to rest. You do not need to fear. Not here, not with me. Liara's smile grew just a little. Her eyes softened. Thank you. Human, your name is Ethan? Yes, he said. And yours is Liara. I am glad you came to me tonight. She nodded, a faint warmth spreading across her features. I will try to sleep. But I feel strange. I have never trusted anyone like this before. Ethan nodded gently. That is okay. Trust is earned slowly, but sometimes it starts with a single step. You have taken it already. For the first time since she arrived at the station, Liara felt a sense of peace. She was not completely free of fear, but she no longer felt the sharp edge of isolation. Sitting near Ethan, she felt small yet safe, fragile yet valued. The station's lights flickered softly above them. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to this quiet encounter. For Liara, the galaxy suddenly felt a little less cold. For Ethan, the night held a promise of new understanding, of the strange, delicate bond that could form between species, built on courage, kindness, and simple human warmth. And so, in that quiet corner of the station, a human and an alien sat side by side, beginning a story that would change both of their lives. Liara whispered softly, almost to herself, May I sleep beside you tonight? Ethan looked at her, and with a gentle smile he replied, Yes, you may. The stars outside twinkled, distant and steady. Inside, trust began to grow, fragile but bright, a light neither of them had expected. Yet both had quietly hoped to find. The quiet corner of the station seemed even calmer after Liara settled near Ethan. She shifted slightly, adjusting herself on the soft lounge bench, though she kept a respectful distance. Her glowing eyes studied him carefully, as if searching for something more than just his face. Ethan, sensing her unease, kept his posture relaxed. He did not move too close, respecting her space, but he did not look away. Silence can speak in ways words cannot, and he wanted Liara to feel safe. After a few long moments, she spoke again. Her voice was soft, hesitant, but filled with a strange vulnerability. I do not understand humans fully. You feel so many things at once. Courage, kindness, sometimes sadness, my people. We hide much of our hearts. We are taught that showing fear is shameful. But I feel differently when I am with you. Ethan nodded slowly. Humans are complicated. We feel many things, yes, but we also try to help each other, even when it is hard. That is part of who we are. We learn from each other and we grow stronger together. Liara tilted her head, a soft glow flickering across her skin as if her emotions were showing in color. Stronger. Together, I do not understand fully. I have spent most of my life alone. I am trained to rely only on myself. But now I feel something I cannot name. Ethan leaned forward slightly, his hands resting loosely on his knees. It is natural to feel unsure when you meet someone new. You are brave to admit your feelings. Not many beings do that, especially in your culture. Liara's eyes widened slightly. She had never heard words like this before. Her species prized pride and independence above all else. Trusting another being so openly was almost unheard of, yet here she was speaking openly to a human she had only met hours ago. I have been taught to hide everything, she whispered. Even fear, even loneliness, my heart, it is not meant to show weakness. But now, I feel safe. With you, why do humans care so much? Ethan smiled softly, a quiet warmth in his expression. Because we understand what it means to be alone, to be afraid. We also know how much better it is when someone stands with you. Caring is not weakness. It is courage. Liara listened carefully. Her glowing skin pulsed faintly, and her hands, which had been clasped tightly in her lap, slowly relaxed. She felt a strange comfort in Ethan's words, a feeling she had never known before. She realized that humans at their best could be powerful not just in strength but in kindness and understanding. I want to understand this, she admitted softly. I want To know how it feels. To trust someone fully. To let go of fear, even for a short while. Ethan nodded. Then we start slowly. Trust is not given all at once, it grows. You do not have to do it all tonight. Just being here or talking, that is the first step. Liara's eyes flicked toward him, then back down at her hands. She took a small, careful step closer. I will try, she said, her voice almost trembling. I want to stay near you. Even a little is comforting. Ethan gestured gently. The station grew quieter as the hours passed. The loud footsteps in the hallways faded, replaced by only the steady hum of the engines and the soft vibration of the metal floors. In the lounge, the lights dimmed slightly, set to mimic the night cycle. It was a space built for rest, yet neither Ethan nor Liara seemed ready to sleep. Liara sat close now, her glowing skin giving off a faint light. It shifted gently in color with her emotions, soft shades of blue and silver. Her eyes wide and thoughtful, watched Ethan as though he was a mystery she wanted to solve. For a time they stayed silent. Then Ethan leaned back against the wall, speaking in a calm, steady voice. When I was younger, I lived near the sea. My people built small boats to sail across the waves. At night we would sit by the water, listening to the sound of it hitting the rocks. It was peaceful even when the storms came. My father used to say, "With the sea is never truly calm, but it teaches us to be strong." Liara tilted her head slightly, fascinated. The sea, water that stretches endlessly. We do not have such things on my world, only stone and winds that never rest, Ethan nodded. Yes, endless water. It can take life or it can give it. We learn to live beside it, to respect it. That is how humans grow, by learning from the world around us. Liara's eyes softened. Strange. We are taught to master our world, to bend it to our will. Yet you humans, you speak as though your world teaches you. Ethan gave a small smile. Maybe that is the difference. We cannot control everything, so we learn. Sometimes the lessons are hard, but they shape us. The silence stretched again, but it was warm now, not heavy. Liara's glowing skin flickered softly as she seemed to consider his words. Then she whispered, On my world we live among great cliffs. They rise so high that the sun touches them first, long before it touches the ground. The winds carve shapes in the stone, shapes that last for centuries. We are taught that to be strong, we must be like the stone, unyielding, proud, eternal. Her voice wavered, though she tried to steady it. But I am not like the stone. I am not unyielding. The cliffs do not know fear, but I do. I always have. I thought it made me broken, weak. That is why I left my home. I thought, if I traveled far enough, I could escape this weakness. Ethan studied her carefully, his eyes calm and kind. You are not broken, Liara. Fear does not mean weakness. It means you are alive. And leaving your home, that was not weakness either. It was courage. You wanted to learn. You wanted to face the unknown. That is strength. Liara blinked, surprised by his words. For so long, she had carried her feelings like a heavy burden, believing they marked her as less than others of her kind. Yet this human, in just a few simple sentences, had turned her fear into something different. Her voice trembled. You make it sound as though fear can be a kind of courage. Ethan nodded slowly. Sometimes it is. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to keep going, even when fear is with you. Every human knows this. Liara felt something stir inside her, a warmth that eased the tension in her chest. She shifted closer without even realizing it, drawn to the comfort of his words. Her glowing skin pulsed faintly with shades of green now, a color that in her culture meant curiosity mixed with hope. Tell me more, she said softly. Tell me about your people. Ethan chuckled lightly. If I tell you about all of humanity, we will be here for many nights. But I will share a few stories. And so he began. He spoke of Earth's mountains that touched the clouds, of forests so vast that a traveler could walk for weeks without finding the edge. He spoke of deserts where the sun burned hot during the day, and the stars blazed brightly at night. He told her about the old explorers who sailed across oceans, without knowing what lay on the other side, risking everything just to discover something new. Liara listened, her eyes wide, her body leaning closer with each story. The galaxy was vast, yet she realized humans carried a world within them. Stories of survival, discovery, and connection. Their courage was not only in their weapons or their technology, but in their hearts, you humans, she whispered, her voice filled with awe. You face storms, deserts, oceans. And still you move forward. You do not hide from the unknown. You seek it. Why? Ethan's gaze grew distant, thoughtful. Because we want to understand. Because we believe there is always more to learn. Sometimes we are afraid, but we go anyway. That is our way. Liara felt her chest tighten. She envied that kind of spirit. She had always hidden from her fear, but these humans seemed to embrace it. She wondered what it would feel like to live that way. Her eyes lowered, her voice small. What if I cannot be like that? What if I am too weak to face the unknown? Ethan looked at her firmly, his tone calm but strong. Then you do what you are doing right now. You take one step. Even the smallest step matters. Tonight you chose to trust me. That is already courage. Liara's glowing skin flickered softly. A warmth spread through her, unfamiliar but comforting. She realized Ethan was right. Sitting here speaking so openly, asking to stay near him, these were steps she had never dared take before. Yet she had taken them. For the first time she smiled faintly, the expression shy but real. Perhaps I have taken a step after all. Ethan returned the smile. Yes, and tomorrow you can take another. That is how it begins. The room fell into silence again, but this time it was peaceful. Liara leaned back slightly, closing her eyes for a brief moment. The hum of the station filled the air, steady and calming. For the first time in a long while, she felt she could breathe without the weight of fear pressing down on her. But then, suddenly the calm was broken. A sharp alarm echoed through the station, red lights flashing across the lounge walls. The soft hum of the engines grew louder, strained as if the station itself was groaning under pressure. Voices shouted in the distant corridors, footsteps rushing in every direction. Liara's eyes snapped open, glowing brighter with alarm. She sat upright, fear rushing back into her heart. What is happening? She whispered, her voice tense. Ethan's expression hardened, his calm replaced with focus. He stood quickly, his hand reaching instinctively for the small communicator at his side. I don't know yet, but stay close. Don't move until I say so. Liara's breath caught. The peace of moments ago was gone, replaced by a sudden storm of fear and uncertainty. But this time she was not alone. Ethan stood beside her, steady and strong, ready to face whatever danger was coming. And for Liara, that made all the difference. The fire burned low as the alien woman, Liara, sat close to Daniel. The night outside the shelter was filled with distant animal cries, but the warmth of the flames and the presence of the human gave her a kind of safety she had not felt for many years. Her people had left her behind during the war, and she had believed she would never trust anyone again. But now, sitting with Daniel, she felt her heart begin to soften. Daniel noticed how quiet she had become. He placed another piece of wood into the fire and said softly, "You're thinking about your past, aren't you?" Liara turned her head slowly, her silver eyes glowing in the firelight. Yes, I remember the night when I was taken. I was still young. They told me to be strong, but I was afraid. And now, after all these years, I still fear being alone. Daniel listened. He did not rush to comfort her with words, because he knew sometimes silence was stronger than promises. Instead, he simply sat there, letting her know he was not leaving. Finally, Liara whispered the question that had been on her lips all evening. Daniel, may I sleep beside you tonight? Daniel looked at her carefully. There was no hidden meaning in her words, only a request for closeness, for peace. She wanted the reassurance that someone was there, someone who would not vanish in the night. He gave a small smile. Of course, Liara, if it helps you rest, then stay close. You don't have to be afraid. Her chest rose and fell in relief. She moved a little closer, curling herself within the blanket he had given her. The warmth of his presence calmed her nerves. For the first time in many seasons, her heart slowed to a gentle rhythm. As the night stretched on, Liara found herself speaking more freely. She told Daniel stories of her people, their shining cities, their rituals under the moons, and their songs that filled the skies. Daniel listened to every word with wide eyes. He had never heard such stories, and though he could not picture all of it, he admired the beauty she described. But then her tone grew sad. All of that is gone now. My people scattered, broken. Some turned against each other. Others vanished into the stars. I'm one of the last who still remembers the old songs. Daniel reached out and touched her shoulder gently. Then keep them alive, Liara. If you still remember, then they are not gone. You carry their voice. Her eyes shone with sudden tears. She had expected pity, But instead Daniel had given her respect. That was something she had not felt in a long time. Outside, the wind blew hard against the shelter. Branches scratched against the walls, and for a moment Liara stiffened. Old memories rushed into her mind. Dark cells, cruel faces, and endless nights of fear. She pulled the blanket tighter around her. Daniel noticed her trembling. Without speaking, he shifted so that his shoulder leaned lightly against hers. The simple touch grounded her. She realized then that this human was not just kind, he was steady. Steady like the mountains, steady like the stars. "You are strange, Daniel," she whispered. "You do not know me, yet you stay." Most would turn away. The morning sun rose gently, its light washing the forest in soft gold. Liara walked beside Daniel, her steps light but her mind thoughtful. The night before had given her peace, yet she knew the world outside their small shelter was still dangerous. Daniel carried a small pack with food and tools. He checked their path often, marking the way with stones so they would not get lost. His habit of preparing for everything made Liara feel more secure. She noticed how he always walked slightly ahead, not because he wished to lead, but because he wanted to shield her from anything that might appear first. "You always watch the path," Liara said softly. Daniel smiled over his shoulder. "Old habit. You can't survive long on Earth if you don't stay alert. Dangerous animals, storms, cliffs, you never know what might happen. I guess that habit came with me out here too." Liara thought about it. In her culture, most people trusted their technology to protect them. Yet this human trusted his eyes, his steps, his instincts. There was something powerful in that. By midday, the forest began to change. The trees grew taller, their roots twisting across the ground like giant veins. Strange calls echoed in the air. Daniel stopped often, crouching low, his eyes sharp. Liara noticed his tension. "What is it?" "Tracks," Daniel whispered. "Big ones. Something's been hunting here recently." Her stomach tightened. Memories of hunters from her past returned, but she reminded herself. This time she was not alone. They moved more carefully, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. The silence of the forest seemed too heavy, as if every creature was holding its breath. Then came the sound, a low growl from the shadows. Liara froze. A massive beast stepped into view, its body covered in thick dark fur, its eyes glowing with hunger. Its claws dug into the ground as it snarled at them. Daniel's hand shot out in front of Liara. "Stay behind me." The beast circled, slow and deliberate. Liara's heart pounded. She had faced soldiers, cruelty, and loneliness, but this was different. This was raw nature, a force of survival. Daniel bent down slightly, picking up a long branch. "We don't want to fight it," he muttered. "But if we have to, we won't run." Liara's throat felt dry. "It's too strong," she whispered. Daniel glanced at her. His voice was steady. "Strength isn't everything. Stay close to me. Trust me." Something inside her shifted at his words. Trust. That was the very thing she had asked for the night before. Now she had to give it in return. The beast lunged suddenly, its roar shaking the air. Daniel swung the branch hard, striking its face and forcing it back. The beast stumbled but quickly regained its footing, angrier than before. Liara's instincts screamed at her to hide, to run, but she forced herself to stand firm beside Daniel. Her hands shook, but she remembered his words. "You don't have to be afraid." The beast charged again. Daniel shoved Liara aside just as the creature snapped its jaws where she had been standing. Daniel struck again, this time jabbing the branch into its shoulder. The beast howled in pain and staggered. "Liara!" Daniel shouted. "Grab a rock. Aim for the eyes." She looked down, saw a stone near her feet, and snatched it up. Her hands trembled, but she lifted it high and threw with all her strength. The rock struck the beast's head, making it reel back in surprise. Daniel used the moment to push forward, slamming the branch into its chest. The beast stumbled, growled one last time, then turned and ran into the shadows. Silence returned to the forest. Liara fell to her knees, breathing hard. She stared at her hands, still shaking. She had faced the beast and she had not run. Daniel dropped the broken branch and knelt beside her. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, but his eyes were calm. "You did it," he said. "You helped drive it away." Her voice cracked. "I thought I would fail. I thought fear would control me again." Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. "Fear is natural, but you stood your ground. That's what matters." "You were brave, Liara." Her heart swelled at his words. She had not believed in her own strength. Yet Daniel had believed in her enough to ask for her help, and she had answered. They rested for a while near a fallen log. Daniel kept watch, but his smile showed relief. Liara leaned against the wood, still shaking, but a new fire was growing inside her. She thought about her people. How many of them had given up hope? How many had fallen into despair? But maybe, if a human could help her find courage again, she could help others too. "You trusted me," she whispered. Daniel looked at her. "Of course. You're stronger than you think." Her eyes softened. She remembered the night before when she had asked to sleep beside him. Then she had needed his strength. Now, for the first time, she felt like she could give some strength back. As the sun lowered in the sky, they continued their journey. The forest felt less frightening now. Even though danger still lingered, Liara walked with her head higher. She kept close to Daniel, but not because she was weak, because she wanted to share the path. That night, when they made camp again, Liara looked at him across the fire. "Daniel," she said softly, "last night I asked for your reassurance. Tonight I give you mine. Whatever comes, I will not leave you. We face it together." Daniel's smile was quiet but full of warmth. That's all I could ask for. Liara lay down that night with her heart lighter. She had not only found safety beside a human, she had found her own courage. And in that courage, a bond between them had grown even stronger. The stars above shone brightly as if watching their journey. And Liara knew, deep inside, that her story was no longer one of fear but of hope. The forest opened into a valley as the sun touched the horizon. Daniel and Liara stood on the edge, looking down at the wide green land below. A river glimmered in the distance, and beyond it, faint shapes of ruined towers rose from the earth. Liara's chest tightened. She knew this place. "Those ruins, they belong to my people," she whispered. Daniel turned to her. "Do you want to go there?" Her eyes softened with both fear and longing. "Yes, but I am afraid of what I might find. It may only remind me of everything I lost." Daniel rested his hand gently on her shoulder. "Then we'll face it together. If the past hurts, I'll stand with you. And if it gives you hope, I'll stand with you there too." Her heart calmed. She nodded slowly. "Then let's go." The journey down into the valley was quiet. The air grew cooler and the ruins loomed larger with every step. Broken walls stood like bones of the past, and cracked statues of her people still gazed toward the sky. Liara walked slowly, her fingers brushing against the old stones. Memories came alive. She saw herself as a child, running through these streets, laughing at festivals, singing with her family under starlight. The sounds of the past mixed with the silence of the present. Her steps grew heavy. "It hurts," she whispered. To see it empty, Daniel walked beside her, silent at first. Then he said softly, "It may look empty, but it still carries your people's story. You are here. That means it isn't lost." His words were simple, but they wrapped around her heart like light. At the center of the ruins stood a tall stone pillar, cracked but still standing. Strange markings covered it, words of her people. Liara traced them with her fingers. "It is an oath," she explained quietly. "A promise my ancestors made. They swore never to forget each other, no matter how far they traveled among the stars." Her voice broke. "But they are gone now. What use is an oath if no one is left to keep it?" Daniel stepped forward, his eyes steady. "You're here. That's enough. The oath still lives in you, and if you share it with me, then I'll help carry it too." Liara looked at him, her silver eyes shining with unshed tears. "You would do that? Carry a promise that is not yours?" Daniel smiled gently. "Maybe that's what humans do best. We carry each other's burdens. No one has to be alone." Her chest ached, but this time it was not from sorrow. It was from a warmth she had not known in years. They stayed near the pillar as night fell. The stars appeared one by one, brighter than ever over the ruins. Liara sat close to Daniel, her head resting lightly against his shoulder. She whispered, "I used to dream that someone would stay with me through the night, that I would wake, and they would still be there. Last night you gave me that gift. Tonight, I no longer doubt. You will not leave." Daniel looked up at the stars, then back at her. "No, I won't leave. Not tonight. Not tomorrow." Her lips trembled, but she smiled. "Then the oath is not broken. It will live through us." But just as peace began to settle, a sound stirred the silence. A group of shadows moved at the edge of the ruins. Liara tensed, her hand tightening around the stone floor. Daniel rose quickly. Stay close. Figures stepped into the torchlight. Scavengers armed with crude weapons, their eyes sharp and hungry. They had seen the fire and come to claim whatever they could. The leader sneered. 2 travelers in old ruins. Easy prey. Liara felt fear grip her chest again, but Daniel stood firm, his voice calm and strong. You won't touch her. Turn back now. The scavengers laughed. And if we don't? Daniel picked up a fallen piece of stone, holding it like a weapon. Then you'll regret it. Liara watched him, courage burning in his eyes. For a moment she remembered the beast in the forest. He had stood then and he stood now, but this time she refused to let him stand alone. She rose to her feet and stepped beside him. Her voice rang out clear. Leave us. These ruins are sacred. If you defile them, you will answer not just to us, but to the memory of my people. The scavengers hesitated. Something in her glowing silver eyes made them falter.